Good afternoon and welcome to USI Strategic Dialogue. I am Major General Sanjeev Chaudhary. In today's episode, we will be exploring the Army's recent announcement of the Rudra Brigades, a transformative step in India's force structuring and defense preparedness. On the Kargil Vijay Divas, the Chief of Army Staff unveiled these all-armed brigades, bringing together infantry, mechanized infantry, armor, artillery, special forces, and the unmanned systems under a single integrated command. This seems to mark a significant leap from the earlier integrated battle group concept, aiming to build a future ready, agile, and lethal force. To discuss the strategic significance of this development, I am joined today by Major General Jagatbir Singh, a distinguished fellow at the United Service Institution of India. Together, we will unpack what the Rudra Brigade means for India's military transformation and their potential role in shaping tomorrow's battlefields. General Jagatbir, let me begin with the most direct question which is there on everyone's mind. What, in your view, is the announcement of this Rudra Brigade, and how do you see this development in the larger context of the Army's ongoing transformation?
Thank you very much for your question, Sanjeev. And it's indeed a privilege and honor for me to be on this strategic perspective discussing this important issue, which, as you rightly said, was unveiled on 26 July by the Army Chief at Dras, marking Kargil Divas. So it's, the Indian Army today is successfully addressing the current challenges that are manifesting itself in front of it, but are also focusing on the future, rapidly advancing transformative battlefield milieu.
Correct.
And keeping this in mind, the Army Chief has talked about these Rudra Brigades. Now, you said, is it part of a transformative step or is it something that has just come up? In my view, this step has been in the pipeline for a long time. So it's not something that has just come up after Operation Sindoor, but it's been something that the army has felt the need of over a time, and that is why he's announced this. Now, basically, what it entails is what has come out in the press, like you rightly brought out, is a mix of all arms and support arms as well as of tailor-made logistics. But apart from this, because some of this exists in the present form in the manner of independent brigades which are there. You have, certain independent brigades which are already existing. But this is a step ahead because apart from mixing all these arms, services, supporting arms, you're also going to talk of, the future in the sense that you're going to talk of drones, you're going to talk of EW, you're going to talk of cyber, and how you're going to integrate all these assets together. And I think this is what the Army Chief had in mind when he talked of the Rudra Brigades. And what I was given to understand, and that's purely by reading in the press, that certain brigades, 2 brigades, are already being transformed or changed into Rudra Brigades. But there are 2 issues, since we both have spent many years in uniform, there are 2-3 issues that come up. Firstly is this seen as entirely new, or is it a process that is taking place gradually? Is it a little bit of a transformation from the existing, way of fighting? And the second thing is, which is more important, is where will you get the resources for this from? So has this been got so-called government sanction, or is it going to be, from accretions within the existing force structure?
Correct.
So, that's something which is a larger picture. So, probably this will, in my view, be a test bed of 2-3 formations, and thereafter there will have to be something literally to decide the WE and the P of these establishments. That's what I feel.
Thank you, sir. I agree. The announcement has indeed been a landmark in the Army's transformation. What stands out, as you brought out, is the emphasis on agility and the emphasis on integration. The issues which you brought about for the resources, definitely this is a thought which many people are asking. This question is being asked by everyone, that where will you get the resources from? Because obviously, as of now, the government sanction would not have been in place. So yes, I am sure the 2 brigades that you've spoken about would be a test bed Following which, maybe they will take up a formal sanction for this to be a permanent feature in the Indian Army.
Yeah, and the structure of these will also vary, depending on the terrain where they are operating. So you may have a structure different for planes, different for the LOC, different for the LAC, and different for Eastern
Correct.
theater.
Absolutely.
So I mean, they will have to be tweaked.
Absolutely. So maybe the threat, the terrain, and such like things will definitely play. And I'm sure they will be tailor-made brigades. Both the brigade may not be the same also.
Absolutely, they will have to be tailor-made, because for the timing, in my view, you can't have both in the plains or both in the mountains.
Obviously.
So they will probably have one for the mountains and one for the plains, and where you feel the threat
Absolutely
comes about. But there are other questions also which we'll discuss later,
Yes.
How does the command and control of this come up, and issues like that?
To place it in context, could you throw some light on how this combined armed concept has developed in some other foreign armies? And how does the experience that we've gained from there help us to understand the possibilities and the likely challenges which this brigade will face in the future?
Yeah. So I think that is the crux of this whole thing. The possibility of the challenges and what are the issues that have come up. So the first thing is that what I want to say is that what I mentioned earlier, that we have independent brigade groups which are already functioning in certain terrain, certain areas. They're there, and you have independent armored brigades also. Apart from that, you also had a concept which is very much prevalent in the mechanized forces, where you create a grouping for combat in which you mix all arms and services together. So you have these combat commands and combat groups that come up. So I mean, but those are ad hoc. But here what we're going is for some sort of permanent sort of arrangement to be done. Now, every army has its own challenges. So just to pick up a template from one army and transpose it on another is not practical. But yes, there are pointers in how the other armies have done it and why they have taken that route. So our terrain is different, our threat is different. So, and our resources is different, our budgets are different, our training is different, our doctrines are different. So there are differences, broad differences that lie. But the first army that you pick up is the US Army. So the US Army has what they call the Brigade Combat Team, or the BCT. But the US Army is more tailored to function in a out of area contingency.
Absolutely.
So, and they found these BCTs or ICBTs easier to pick up and move for a specific task in a specific situation, be it in Afghanistan, be it in Iraq, be it in some other place where a threat may come up. So they have gone for that, and it was designed, these BCTs, to be self-contained, able to fight independently, and have all the combat support and logistic capabilities required to conduct sustained military operations. This necessitated that the arms at the division level, that is artillery, air defense, signal support, that is communication, EW, logistics, all that is made available and integrated at a lower level that comes at the brigade level. So, I mean, this thing comes down. So, now another thing comes about which we can discuss. And I mean, at times people have faced that you have to have some sort of capability to train and integrate these together, because right now what you do is you have an artillery unit which functions under artillery brigade, but under operations it provides direct support, but all the technical parameters and the training and all is done by the artillery brigade commander.
Correct.
Whereas now this all will delve on the Rudra Brigade commander. So I mean, that's something, and this will increase not only his issue regarding training, but also the inventory he has to hold as far as spares and management of the equipment goes. So, I mean, that's something that are there. Now, the BCTs or IBCTs are, designed for combined arms offensive in restrictive or complex terrain against conventional or irregular threats. So, I mean, we are also going to talk of both conventional and irregular threats in our case. China, on the other hand, has what they call CABs, Combined Armed Brigades. And these are a key component of their PLA ground forces. So China has also gone that way. And these brigades are also highly mobile and capable of conducting combined arms operations, incorporating various combat arms like armor, infantry, artillery, air defense, all within an integrated, unit. So that's another thing. Now, Russia, you've already, has had this. Even in the Soviet times, you had these combined arms brigade. But what they felt now, in Russia, they call them BTGs.
BTGs.
They had a issue in this present Ukraine war that they finally needed more infantry to go and capture a particular ground. So, I mean, that's where they felt it was lacking. It was too, concentrated on mechanized forces because their terrain was a little different. So, I mean, these are the issues that come.
That's a very balanced perspective that you've given. But however, what I understand is that maybe we would try and base it more on the Chinese concept, since they are our adversaries. As far as US is concerned, like you said, that they are out of the area contingency, and the conceptual employment of these brigades will be very different from the way India will employ our brigades. And
Yeah.
similarly is Russia. So maybe we have something to learn from the Chinese concept, and since they are likely to utilize it against India also.
Absolutely. All these concepts would have been studied in detail at the highest level, would have been debated. There would have been,
Absolutely.
and the pros and cons of each of these, and we would have drawn lessons from each of these from the ongoing conflict, and accordingly come up with a concept. But this cannot be the final concept. In my opinion, I feel this will be a test bed. Based on this, we'll draw adequate lessons, and after that, you will have to modify your
formalize
structure,
the whole,
and then only you'll have to go in for some sort of government sanction. Because right now, when you create these brigades, you will be pulling out units from existing formations and creating voids over there.
So, coming back to the Indian context, sir, what, in your view, are the specific advantages in case this becomes a reality? What are the advantages that are going to accrue for India, particularly given our terrain, our threat perceptions, and our operational challenges?
Yeah, so the advantages that we get, which are being talked about, is firstly the speed and agility of deploying these formations.
Correct.
Yeah, that is one. And I think that people are talking mainly from the lessons drawn, which go back even to Parakram, when you found, a time lag in deploying certain formations up ahead. And secondly, is the responsibility that these formations get, that they are already equipped with a sort of integrated structure that can function. Because today, whenever you go into battle, it's one-on-one, so to say, peer versus peer, but there are weaknesses in every equipment. Like you say, the tank is there, but it needs certain protection. And the tank lacks certain amount of firepower in depth. So you need air defense protection, you need secure communication, you need artillery. And then after going ahead, you need mechanized infantry and infantry to, physically assault ground and hold ground. And after that, today's environment, you need drones. So, I mean, these are the things that will change. There are going to be cyber attacks. So, I mean, how do you counter that? So, you're fighting in a multi-domain environment. So, these sort of forces, these sort of structures are more suited, in my mind, to fight in a future emerging battlefield, which is going to be more multi-domain in nature.
So, what comes out from whatever you're saying is that the speed of response and the integration is vital for these brigades.
Absolutely.
And especially if you see the ISR, or the INT surveillance and reconnaissance, is concerned, that till now was being given by a third party. As of now, it will be integral to this brigade, and they will be able to get the intelligence faster than earlier.
Yeah, but this is one issue which is playing on a lot of people's mind, because right now this ISR is controlled at a little higher level.
Exactly.
So how does the control of ISR come down? And plus there are many other resources which provide a picture. So will those all be available here, or will it be transmitted to the brigade headquarters in a faster time frame? And the next thing is, will their staff at that brigade headquarters be adequate to analyze and act upon that data? So, I mean, that's something that has to be seen.
So, obviously, as you said, that we have to first try this concept.
Absolutely. You have to try this concept.
And obviously, we cannot try it out in actual combat.
No.
It has to be war gamed. It has to be set out in exercises.
Yeah.
And maybe we have to integrate the concept of red teaming into it.
Perfectly. That absolutely, you've answered the question. So when you validate this concept after EWT or with red teaming, and then you'll get to know where the
Absolutely.
weakness is and what you need to tweak and how you need to go forward.
This brings me to a question which is being asked by everyone. Is the Rudra Brigade an upgraded form of the independent brigades or the integrated battle group concept which was there earlier or which is there? Or does it represent a genuine shift in our warfighting philosophy? Is the philosophy changing? Or is it an old wine in a new bottle? Or is this the beginning of a transition where maybe in future divisions will not cease to exist and brigades will form the fighting elements?
Now, that is the key of this whole debate, which is being talked about. I mean, are we going to see a major shift in our doctrine now? Are you going to see a shift taking place where currently the division was the basic field unit that executed operations? Is this going to come down to the level of a brigade? And if so, is the brigade equipped to carry out the task in a narrower, frontage as what the
Absolutely,
division
absolutely.
was doing? And will this brigade have adequate reserves to carry out that task? So, I mean, this is something that is there, but definitely, as I mentioned earlier, this is not something that has come out just about Operation Sindoor. These concepts of IBGs was being, talked about by General Bipin Rawat, the late General Bipin Rawat, and he had mooted this process. Everybody was talking about this. These were even thought about even earlier during Op Parakram, based on our, feedback of Op Parakram. Do we need to change? To what manner we need to change our force structuring? Are these, strike formations too cumbersome? I mean, these were all the thoughts that came about. And over time, you've seen that you had rapidized certain infantry divisions. The defensive corps became pivot corps, giving them more, firepower, giving them more, mechanized forces. So, I mean, there have been changes which have been taking place
Absolutely.
over the years, and you've seen a gradual shift. And now, what you've seen is a shift which is now talking about greater number of Rudra brigades. But what exactly will their, tasking be? How will it manifest on ground? That is something that has naturally not been disclosed as yet, and neither should we discuss that in a forum like this. But yes, India today is confronted with a strategic and operational environment which is characterized by complex interactions between number of multiple domains and fronts, and the proliferation of these domains and the interaction within and across them necessitates developing an effective strategy and an operational art, and the challenge necessitates development of new concepts to design for future capabilities that may come down. Like you've seen how drones are playing a major role.
Absolutely.
Now, who should control the drone? Should it be controlled by the fighting arm? Should it be controlled by artillery? Should it be controlled by the
intelligence people?
intelligence people? I mean, these are all things open for discussion. So, who will do it? How will it be done? So, I think this is very, very important. And I think this is a step forward in a right direction, in my view. But as I said, this is the first step, and you need to,
Absolutely.
be sure before you take your next steps forward.
So, what has come out in today's discussion is that yes, this is a transformative step with the aim to make a brigade, the existing brigade, more agile, more responsive, more lethal. And all this is going to happen with a structural change and definitely a shift in our doctrine and philosophy.
Absolutely. Now, General Shivane has written a wonderful article on this change. And he said this change also has to take place in the mindset. So that change has to take place in the mindset, and your skill sets have to be developed down to the lowest level to be able to execute the tasks that may come up. Because as I said, now people who've been used to handling, one type of, equipment and all that are suddenly going to be faced at a brigade level handling multiple weapon platforms. And how do they integrate all that? That is going to be there. So you have to have a mindset which has to change, and you have to develop your skill set. So your doctrine and your training, I feel, is the most important thing now. And lessons will be learned from the validation that takes place of the new formation, and we'll move forward from that.
So, definitely, as we look forward to this concept developing into a force multiplier for India, we need to, like you said, change our own attitude, change our own thinking, and train accordingly. Because without training in such an environment, which we are not used to as of now, we train in our own in our own sort of battle scenarios. But now, the very important aspect of this brigade is to train as a brigade in every realm and all arm concept.
Absolutely, that is very important, and that it's not that it's not being done. Combat commands do train together in EWTs and have been
Absolutely.
deployed together. So I mean that culture does exist. So it's only that it's going to be transformed to a larger platform.
So I would like to thank Major General Jagatbir for sharing his valuable insights, and I hope you listeners found today's discussion engaging and informative. We look forward to your comments and feedback. Do press the like button, share this podcast, and stay tuned for more episodes from the USI Strategic Dialogue.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev.